everyone. You have a lesson plan for a small group instruction, small group instructional arrangement coming up before too long. And so I wanted to go ahead and share information on what the expectation is for your lesson plan for that assignment. And so what I want you to make sure that you do is that you include the mathematics content, what you're going to be teaching just in general. And then you're going to give me some descriptive information on the students that are in your small group. So I need to know, like, what are their ages? And what you can do is you can either list their names or you can put like student one or student two, but please don't use their real names. I encourage you to use pseudonyms for that. So, what are their ages? What are their grade levels? What about their educational placements? What are the students' eligibility category? And that would be again for all of the students. If the students have any medical or physical things or physical considerations that you need to plan for when you're planning your instruction. Are the students receiving any type of related services? Because related service providers are very valuable collaborators, and we want to make sure that we're working with our related service providers to ensure that there's consistency across the work that they're doing with the students and what we're doing with our students in our class, and that there's carryover both ways in what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. What are your students' present levels related to the target skill? Tell me what their strengths are. Or what skills do they already have that are building towards the skill that you're going to be teaching? Or what are their areas of improvement? What things do you need to teach in order to, or ways you need to support them in order for them to be successful with the skill you're teaching? Let me know about their communication, their social skills, their behavioral skills, if they have any behavioral challenges, and how you might address those, what their support needs are, and then finally, what type of math curriculum is being used in the classroom. And in some cases, that's going to be a published curriculum. In other cases, it's going to be teacher-made materials. Let me know about your small group instruction. What response prompting strategy are you using? Remember, you cannot use model lead test. You can't use I do, we do, you do. You've had tons of experience with that. We're going to be working with other strategies. Then tell me, why did you choose that response prompting strategy? What was your rationale for choosing it? If the students need a prompting hierarchy, let me know what that prompting hierarchy is, and make sure that if different students have different prompting hierarchies, that you include all of those so that I know you're planning for each student's prompting hierarchy, for their controlling prompt, and for their response interval. Because one student's controlling prompt could be a model, whereas there's another student, their controlling prompt is just a verbal prompt. And again, response intervals can be different. How will you keep the students engaged, and how will you make instruction meaningful to them? And those are tied together. I need to know what essential element that you're teaching, and I want to make sure that it is tied to at least one student's IEP goal or objective. So it can be multiple students, but I at least need to see one IEP goal that you will be addressing in this lesson for a student. And then make sure you include your lesson objectives and using the same format that you do for IEP goals and objectives. Now, you might also have some content specific vocabulary that you need to teach. So if you're teaching fewer, for example, that might be a vocabulary word that you have to teach in advance. I want you to make sure that you let me know what type of word problem you're going to be teaching. Now, that is our goal with this. I'd love for you to teach a word problem. And if at all possible, that's what I want you to do. And you've seen in our video where we showed how do you generalize, how do you embed these word problems in other standards. So if at all possible, that's the expectation. But there are students who may not be at that level yet. And so maybe they're just learning how to make a set. Or it may be that the student is working on a skill that's so specific that you can't embed a word problem in there. And so in that case, which again is our last resort, you can tell me what other skill are you teaching that student? What is the content that you're focused on? We want to make sure that our instruction is meaningful for students. So I want you to tell me what your theme is for your word problems. And we want to again make sure that's of high interest to our students. And so I want you to tell me, why would this be appealing to the students? If you're using basketball, why are you, as your manipulatives, for example, why are you using basketball? What makes that meaningful to the student? I want you to include 5 word problems, and those all need to align with the type of word problem you're teaching. So if you tell me that you're doing a compare problem, then I expect to see 5 compare problems. Always go back if you need to and refer to our class materials. They're easy to find in our class PowerPoints. But again, I need to see full word problems with a minimum of 4 sentences. That is the expectation. You can either give me a photo, clip art, or a description of what manipulatives you are using, and then I want to see your actual graphic organizer. So you are welcome either to attach it to the end of this document. You can just take a screenshot of it, but I want to see the full graphic organizer. I don't want to see where you have just put into, for example, Chat GPT and asked it to make one and it's a tiny little picture. It's not an actual graphic organizer that you can use. I want to see a usable graphic organizer. And then the final thing you're going to do is you're going to do your task analysis. You're going to let me know what the step is, what the teacher says and does. And these are very brief descriptions. I don't need a paragraph. I don't need 6 sentences. Again, I just need for that step, what is the teacher going to say? And if you need to attach something that she's doing, put that in there. What is the targeted student's response? So what would a correct response look like? And then what your prompting would look like. So if you're using the system of least prompts, what does that look like? If you're using constant time delay, what does that look like? What does it look like in 0-second trials and in, for example, 5-second trials? And then finally, I want you to put in your reinforcement or your error correction. And I would like to see error correction. Just give me an idea of what you would do maybe for one step. And that is the expectation for your small group math lesson. If you have any questions, you need any support, you want to run anything by me, all you have to do is reach out. All right. And this will be posted on Canvas. So again, you're more than welcome to go back and refer to this and ask any questions you might need. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.